Hi, I'm Linwood Fields, and we're going to talk about fifth grade math. This is the introduction to the fifth grade math lectures on my website. Let us talk about fifth grade math, which is one of my favorite subjects. I will start by looking into the textbook that will guide the journey to our destination. We will be using fifth grade green math, which is a textbook that I wrote back in 2012. I will more or less read the preface and then chapter 1, which is simply the motivation chapter. Fifth grade green math emphasizes math fundamentals. The fifth grader gets the why answered. They will develop a deep intuition into the basic mathematical operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. In addition, the fifth grader develops intuition into fractions, which are a stumbling block for many students. This deep intuition into fractions was part of the motivation for this book and is one of the main features that distinguishes this book from other similar books. By the time the fifth grader has finished fifth grade math, they will be confident and fluent in converting fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. Very important. The above justification in no way implies that there are no other good fifth grade math textbooks. Houghton Mifflin Math Grade 5 is a good fifth grade textbook. However, it's too typical of other textbooks in that it has too much breadth, meaning too many topics are covered. Teachers cannot adequately focus on essential fifth grade concepts if the teachers attempt to cover most of the topics in that textbook. The in-depth discussion of dimensional analysis, which is a concept related to ratios and rates, allowed the fifth grader to become fluent in converting a given unit to another unit. For example, the fifth grader will be able to easily solve problems like the following. If there are 4 quarters per dollar and I have $5 worth of quarters, then how many quarters do I have? Realizing the enormous power of dimensional analysis and the failure of our education system to integrate dimensional analysis into our children's education was another motivation for writing this textbook. I was introduced to dimensional analysis in high school chemistry, and I later realized that dimensional analysis was something so powerful that such a long wait was not in my best interest. Students are taught bits and pieces of dimensional analysis starting in the 3rd or 4th grade. However, it is a fragmented and discontinuous effort that does not maximize the use of a student's time. My high school chemistry teacher, Mr. David Jarrett, deserves much credit for introducing me to such a powerful technique. As a matter of fact, in one of my freshman engineering courses, I and Willie, another student from my high school, were 2 of only a few students amongst over several hundred students to get a couple of problems involving dimensional analysis correct. Dimensional analysis was probably not a rigorous part of the other students' previous education. This book can be coined green math because many of the examples focus on money and renewable and alternative energy concepts. I gently introduced the fifth grader to renewable energy concepts. Obviously, green is the color that comes to mind when many people think about money. In addition, many people think about green when they hear the phrase renewable energy. Integrating money and renewable energy concepts into fifth grade math helps to make math more fun versus just an exercise in symbols with no connection to the real world. Written with the new Common Core standards in mind, these were relatively new back in 2012. There is enough Common Core standards content that allows for using this book as a classroom textbook. Fifth grade green math should at least be used in the classroom as a supplemental reference book. Because there is still too much breadth in the Common Core standards, it was intentional not to try and cover every Common Core concept in detail. There is not enough time in the school year for the teacher to get bogged down with every Common Core concept. However, the fifth grade teacher must get bogged down in division, fractions, and dimensional analysis, respectively. Many practice problems, extensive time, and patience. With division, fractions, and dimensional analysis are all necessary if the fifth grader is to fully succeed in math. Of great significance to parents, fifth grade green math was intentionally written in a tutorial manner so that it can be used at home by parents who really want their fifth grader to acquire the necessary background to guarantee future success in math. Not only parents, but students in grade 7 and above should be able to easily follow the lectures and should easily be able to teach their fifth grade sibling these necessary math skills using this textbook. This book was written with the awareness that some parents will have much less math experience than others. Therefore, it develops the concepts using many examples and many details. And parents without math confidence can easily follow the concepts if they start at the beginning of the book and don't skip around too much. The only math skills assumed are the ability to add and subtract, and that the multiplication tables 0 through 12 are known or accessible. There are several engaging activities, and it is highly recommended that the teacher and parent complete the activities with the students. Some elementary and middle school textbooks and teachers shy away from developing intuition for tough concepts. That is not good. Also, some elementary and middle school textbooks and teachers shy away from the mechanics of math. That is not good. While it may be a good strategy to include some inquisitive-based learning in our early education, the fifth grade is not the appropriate place to overreach with this type of learning. While educators must continuously strive to motivate kids to be inquisitive, the mechanics of math cannot become secondary to any learning approach. This is especially true for the fifth grade because it is, in my opinion, the place that we lose our students in math. Hence, fifth grade green math does not shy away from the mechanics of math. and fifth grade green math does not shy away from developing an intuitive feel for tough concepts. Chapter 1 is a motivational chapter, and chapters 2 and 3 are review chapters. Even though chapters 2 and 3 are review chapters, there is some content that is fundamental, and this content should not be skipped. Most of the parents and teachers' effort should focus on the division chapter, the fractions chapter, the dimensional analysis chapter, and the volume content, which is in the last 2 chapters. This approach will give the fifth grader the solid foundation needed to guarantee future success in math. Again, you will notice that fifth grade green math is tutorially oriented, with a strong focus on explaining to the fifth grader why they are doing what they are doing. Okay, let's look at the motivation. The preface already set the mathematical motivation. This chapter sets the psychological motivation. Motivating kids to learn math is perhaps the biggest hurdle facing today's parents and math teachers. Inadequate resources, not enough funding, lack of access to technology, amongst other reasons, are what we hear about most often in the news. However, this isn't what I have personally observed as a parent of 2 and as a substitute teacher previously in grades K through 12. I have been in classrooms that use the latest technology like smart boards, and yet there are still a multitude of unmotivated and underperforming students, sadly to say. Here is another example which shows that technology alone isn't sufficient to motivate students. I have seen students who can operate all the functions of a cell phone and who can operate fancy electronic adding machines, better known as scientific calculators. But yet, these same students cannot perform simple operations with fractions. It is sad, but true. My stance on resources needs some clarification. Because fifth grade math can make or break a kid, there needs to be more teacher aides in fifth grade classrooms doing math lessons. 1 aide per 6 students is, in my opinion, about the right ratio to guarantee that all students, not just some of them, not just the gifted, get the individual attention to guarantee the mastering of division, fractions, dimensional analysis, and volume. The fifth grade is where we needlessly lose many of our children in math. Again, that statement is something that I want to make sure that we understand. We're needlessly losing many of our students in the fifth grade. The fifth grade is a turning point. Why is it a turning point? Because we go from addition, subtraction, and then multiplication in grades 1 through 4, and then we get to division. Division is harder than multiplication, just like subtraction is a little bit harder than addition. Teaching more fundamentals is necessary now more than ever, and increasing the number of math teacher aides can help. I am not alone in the belief that lack of motivation stands as an obstacle in the fully successful math path of kids. Stanford University's Keith Devling believes that Students possess mathematical and computational instincts. However, lack of practice and lack of motivation are the only obstacles standing in the way of kids improving their math skills. He also believes that school arithmetic never gets to the meaningful stage and forever remains just an abstract game in formal symbols. This is problematic for many students. Donna Christensen also pointed out another point that needs our immediate attention, and which is in agreement with the first paragraph above. Even with all the activity that educators are directing towards improving the teaching of math in grades K through 12, outcomes are disappointingly unchanged, and even worse in some cases. Now up here where I said the first paragraph, I think I meant on the previous slide. We also have to be mindful that motivated students can easily become unmotivated. We don't want that to happen. All it takes is one bad teacher or one bad experience with math, and a student's confidence can be shot down. Unfortunately, the 5th grade is a place where a lot of shots are being fired. A lack of confidence can easily cause a student to become unmotivated and turned off by math. In Appendix A of the textbook, there are motivational slogans that teachers and parents can use to help motivate our kids. And I'll try to share with you those slogans throughout the lectures on the website. My hope is the following. Our children will help lead the revolution of renewable and alternative energy and sustainable living education. It is our job as renewable energy educators and math teachers to enable our children to see this revolution through. Parents often do not have the time, background, or motivation to put much thought into renewable energy, alternative energy, and sustainable living. And now there's a new player on the block called electric mobility. One example is electric vehicles. Whether you know it or not, electric vehicles are going to replace the gasoline combustion engine. It's not a matter of time. It's not a matter of, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Children leading the revolution is a paradigm shift because normally it would be the parents teaching the children. But with this hope, the children will be teaching the parents. Currently, a few programs have already been put in place to help teachers incorporate renewable energy and sustainable living concepts into their classrooms. However, this initial effort has to be raised to a significantly higher level in order to be the most effective and in order to have an optimum impact on society. Sliding renewable energy into a 5th grade math book was inevitable.